Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Improved Podcast, the official podcast of CLSC Studios. I'm your host, Chase Collins, and thank you for joining me this lovely Monday morning. Happy President's Day, everyone. Happy George Washington's birthday. For those of you who are new here, we are building a community of people who are creatives at heart, but also have other stuff going on in their lives. And right now, those creative hobbies are just that. They're hobbies. Whether they're working professionals or full-time parents or full-time students and anything in between, the thing we all have in common is that we have goals and creative hobbies and passions that we are interested in. And we like to keep up with each other and support each other as we progress through these projects or abandon old ones and start new ones. Whatever it is, we're here to be a voice, be a sounding board for everyone who's, interested in that type of stuff, but also has other stuff going on. I sort of use this podcast as like an accountability project for myself so that I can keep up with everything that I'm going on. So I just shout it into the ether on this microphone in my office all alone, talking to myself pretty much. But it's a great time, and I hope you all get something out of it as well. So let's run this intro music, and I'll be back for the rest of the episode.
Improved Podcast. Improved Podcast. Improved Podcast.
All right, well, we are back after a long hiatus. I think the last episode I posted was in September or October of 2023, and it is now mid-February by the time I'm recording this and by the time you all listen to this. So I do apologize for the long delay. There's been quite a bit going on in my personal life that I'm certainly going to get into here in the future. But before I get to that, I do want to spend, this is the first episode we're kicking off with 2024, and I want to reflect on the goals that I set up for myself for 2023 and the goals that I have for 2024, and just sort of break those down and see if I was able to accomplish anything that I set my mind to for 2023 and go over that with you all here now. It's going to be a little rough because I have looked at my priority list for 2023 and didn't achieve a lot of those goals, but I was able to achieve some other goals that are I'm happy with myself with what I was able to get done in 2023, and hopefully it'll just make another 2024 another year of great progress here in 2024. So yeah, I guess we'll just dive right into it. The goals for 2023, and if you were here last year, you probably heard some of these before, but I had professional goals, perform my job with excellence. I wanted to get some certifications. I wanted to keep up with my fitness. I wanted to keep up with my reading. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to write 2 or 3 screenplays and a TV show, and we'll get into all of that. CLSC Studios so those are all sort of personal passion project goals. And then for CLSC Studios specifically, I wanted to release 1 short film and the Improved Podcast. I wanted to consistently post episodes, get more guests, and then maybe start posting a little bit more actively on YouTube. And yeah, that's like a lot to throw at everyone. So let's go ahead and break all of this down. So performing my job with excellence, I definitely achieved that. I'm not going to disclose exactly how I know that, but really well received at my new job. So I started a new job the start of the year in 2023, and performed that job with excellence. I'm very, very happy with my current position and where I am at right now professionally. So that's awesome. I did want to get a PMP certification. Project management professional, and I did not get that. I did a little bit more digging, and I was a little intimidated by all the requirements associated with that. Didn't achieve that. That's all right. I did get recertified as a Scrum Master, so that's good. So keeping up my professional development, happy with that. In terms of fitness took a back seat in 2023. Let me just tell you. I had a goal of running 400 miles this year, maybe running a half marathon. I wanted to lift 4 to 5 sessions per week, and then I had a weight goal of down to 170, and I can confidently say I did none of those things. I didn't run 400 miles this year. I don't even think I ran 100 miles in 2023. I think maybe I got up to 86 or something like that, and then dropped off hard in the back half of 2023. So obviously did not run a half marathon lifting that took a backseat, baby. Did not lift 4 to 5 times a week. Maybe on average, I would say twice, 3 times a week I probably lifted, which is decent, but that obviously didn't help me achieve my weight loss goal of 170. I think I'm hovering at about like 185 right now, 180. That's a lie, probably up to 190. We'll see. I lost my weight scale. I lost my scale, so don't know how much I'm weighing right now, but I should get one of those. We'll see. Maybe that's a goal for 2024, buy a scale. So fitness, taking a back seat in 2023, but I'll talk about my goals for fitness in 2024 a little bit later. As far as reading goals, so I had goals to read this book called The Lessons of History, which I've had for like at least 5 years now. Haven't read it. I got about halfway through, and it's interesting stuff. It's crazy. Nah, I don't want to talk about it, but it's interesting. Lessons of History, that's a cool book if y'all are interested in. It's like maybe 80 pages, and it just kind of was written by these two historians. I think it's a husband and wife duo that like went through the encyclopedia of like just history over the last like 2,000 years plus, and kind of dove into like the top 10 lessons of history that they sort of took away from their, immense expertise in history. And so that's interesting to me, and did not finish it. It's a good book though. I'd recommend it. I'm about halfway through. Also wanted to read the Chronicles of Narnia. Did not read the Chronicles of Narnia. Didn't even pick that up. I read the first book I read them when I was a child, but I read the first book when I was in maybe it was 2019. I read the first book. It's good. The Magician's Assistant, like that one. Picked up the Chronicles of Narnia. I haven't gotten through that one yet. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Also had some Audible goals I wanted to listen to. We'll talk about Audible goals for next year. I got some books. I got a whole project planned regarding my listening to books. So excited to dive into that. In terms of writing, so I wanted to finish a screenplay that I wrote called Mary Lee Barber. I started that in 2022, and I finished that in March of 23, so that I did accomplish that. I wanted to rewrite my first screenplay, my animated musical feature called Touch, and I did rewrite that a couple of times. Finally put a pretty bow on it in September, so that was about 6 months of rewrites for Touch, and that was an epic task, but I am happy with the product now. Have some more writing notes to implement, but I am happy with where it is now. I said I wanted to write a TV show. Did not do that, unless I like try and fudge the numbers and say like, oh well, I technically wrote this animated pilot, but it's like I didn't write a TV show, dude. I don't have like a series bible or know where the story's going. It's just a short little pilot that I wrote. Then I wanted to write 2 new screenplays, and one of those was a screenplay called Unskilled, which I outlined in 2023, but I didn't actually start writing it until, I would say, this year. So we'll talk about that. And then I have another screenplay called Tom and Zeke that I want to write as well. Those will probably be my next screenplays, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. CLSC Studios, I wanted to release one short film. And for those of you who have been listening, you'll be familiar with my good friend Elijah, who he and I co-created a short film called Dawn, and that is a sci-fi student film that is available on YouTube now. You can watch that. I will leave a description in the or I will leave a link in the description for those who are interested to check it out. It's a very cool, fun ride. It was like my first screenplay that was ever turned into an actual film that people can watch, so that's kind of exciting and fun. It's certainly not a perfect film. We were both learning. It was my first script that was turned into a full-on production with movies and everything, and it was Elijah's first time producing a film as well. He did the lion's shares of editing, directing, producing. Of course there was ADs and APs and stuff like that, but he did the lion's share of that film, and that's available to watch on YouTube now. So yeah, I'll send a link to that in the description. Please check it out. As far as the Improved Podcast, consistently post episode, did not do that. I took 2 breaks writing or producing this show in 2023. They range from like 2 months to maybe 4 months now. So very long breaks. That's on me. Got a little overwhelmed with other stuff that I was working on, and that's all right. The big thing that I did accomplish, one of my goals, I think I skipped over this in the intro, but one of my goals for 2023 was to buy a house in the fall or winter of 2023, and I had to, save for a down payment and all of that. So savings was a big goal for 2023, and I am happy to announce I purchased a home in 2023. I closed October 18th, and that's where I've been. And that is the big secret I've been keeping from you all. I told you all I was working on a secret project that was, limiting my bandwidth with regard to CLSC Studios and the Improved podcast and just my personal writing. And turns out buying a house is a lot harder than one might believe. It's a challenge for sure. There's lots of stuff to do that I had to relearn and learn again and, implement and execute and all of that stuff. But we will get into the details of that in the next couple of weeks. I have some programming planned out for these next few weeks that I am excited to share with you all. I recorded a few episodes while I was in the middle of purchasing the home and wanted to just capture exactly what I was going through in that time. I listened back to that episode and I sound so manic. It's outrageous. It's very funny because I'm just like in the middle of, signing contracts and reviewing, products and everything like that. And I'm just, here's all the things that I'm done. Let me spill my heart and soul into this podcast episode because it's the only place that I can vent. So yeah, look forward to that coming down the pipeline. That'll be fun. Fun to share y'all the nitty gritty of how I was able to use some pretty creative, financial avenues in order to, achieve my goal of purchasing a house. So, yeah, excited to share with you all that. Tune in next week for in-depth details on how I was able to purchase a second home in 2023. So, yeah, now I'm currently a landlord and renting out my old house and living in my new house. So, it's all been good things, but just lots of stress, lots of time that you need to think about, the steps you're trying to take so that you don't ruin yourself financially. These are big boy decisions that need time and dedication. So that is essentially why I took a break in the last half of or the last quarter of 2023 with my podcast. So sorry about that. If y'all are using this as an accountability tool, I couldn't hold myself accountable, baby. My bad on that. But hopefully you all were still able to achieve your goals and everything like that. So what would I give myself if I had to just look at this goal list and see what I accomplished? Did I accomplish my goals satisfactorily? It's I give myself a 5 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10 in terms of goals. I had 7 goals and I technically completed, let's say 1.5, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 out of 7. I say I accomplished 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 7. Okay, I definitely performed my job with excellence. I definitely bought a house this year. I definitely wrote a lot this year, not as much as I wanted, but I'm counting that as a win. And I released 1 short film with Dawn. So that's 4 out of 7. That's not bad. I'll take that. Did not focus on fitness, did not read, did not post consistently for the Improved podcast. So there you go. Now I guess we can move to talk about goals for 2024. A lot of these goals and priorities are pretty much the same. There's a lot of parallels, consistently across these year-to-year goals, but I'll just go over them quickly with you all. I still have another 7,000, geez Louise, not 7,000. I have 7 goals. Geez, if I had 7,000 goals, that'd be insane. But I have another 7 goals this week or this year. Top priority for me, professional. I want to continue performing my job with excellence. Also, there's going to be some change coming up with my position in April, so might be getting a new job in April. So looking forward to performing this new job with excellence as well. Fitness is my second top priority. I want to get back to running. I want to get back to lifting 4 times a week, and I want to get down to 170. That's another. Just keep rolling that goal forward one more year, baby. I did have a goal of running 400 miles last year. That's not my goal this year at all. Goal this year is to just get back into running. If I could do another 100 miles, that would be perfect. Right now, I haven't ran at all in 2024, baby. So we're working it. So reading, I have some new. I'm giving up on my old books that I want to read, dude. Putting those in the past. Now I'm focusing on my parents for Christmas. They got me the Brothers Grimm fairy tale books, and I started reading those. That's been a lot of fun. It's funny. I listened to a book last year called, man, and I didn't even mention this, but I listened to a book, A Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell's book, and that talks a lot about Grimm fairy tales, and so I've already seen like books, those fairy tales come up that were referenced in the book. I'm like, oh, now I'm reading that full thing now. This is cool. Now another reading, this is my big project this is going to be like a 3 to 4 year project. But I have a goal, probably not 3, maybe 2 years, hopefully a 2 to 3 year project. I have a goal of listening to every president's biography. Every single president, every single American president. And what a day to talk about this on President's Day, baby. Yeah, my goal is to listen to every president's biography. And the reason behind this goal is because I'm frustrated with not understanding like why the world is the way that it is. It's like I don't understand it. I don't have any issues with the way the world is right now. It's whatever. And I have no control over it. But I don't understand why it is the way that it is. So I live in America, so I'm going to learn about the history of America through the presidents. I think that's like, who better to report on the history of America than the president? So diving into that, I started with George Washington. I am about halfway through that book right now, listening to it on Audible. It's great. I love George Washington now. All about that dude. He's my man. he's America's dad. That's my dad, dude. George Washington. He's the dude. Right, if you guys are interested, I'm listening to Washington, A Life. I don't know who it's written by, but it's a good biography. I like learning about all this stuff. It's interesting. Then I'm gonna go on to Adams and then Jefferson and 4 through 46 after that. We'll see. So yeah, that's a fun goal. I'm really enjoying that one right now. Writing, so my goal is to finish Unskilled. That's the script I'm currently writing. I am about maybe 40% of the way through that. I've been writing a lot these last couple of weeks, and that's been awesome. It's just been so much fun playing with these new characters in this new world. So really enjoying that. I'll talk more about that in another episode. And then I want to write a screenplay that I mentioned earlier called Tom and Zeke. That's a great script, or a great story that I need to write, and I'm very excited about it. I also want to edit one of my older screenplays called Mary Lee Barber. I wrote that first draft, haven't touched it since. I read through it a couple of months ago, and it was good. It was like, oh wow, I see what I'm going for here. I think we can turn this into something that's like polished. So really looking forward to that. And then I have a couple of short films that I want to write. Let me just add this to my list. That might even be able to produce these short films. Let me hold on. Pause. Short films. I have one that's called like Time or something like that, and then another called College. We'll just label it College. Those are working titles, baby. But yeah, so I'm really interested in writing those short films. One is an animated, one is live action, and I'm planning on working with some familiar faces on getting this animated script into production. Maybe this year. That might be the next CLSC Studios film that we release, which brings me to my other goal. CLSC Studios, I want to release one short film, whether it's live action or animated, doesn't really matter to me, but at least one short film, maybe 2, we'll see. Probably just one, if one at all. Improved podcast, again, want to consistently post episodes. And then my seventh goal, I have, I guess, just like an undisclosed savings amount. I want to, continue saving towards future prospects, whether that's a new house or other activities. That's what I want to do. I want to be saving that money because I ain't got none right now. I just bought a house. So yeah, those are my goals for 2024. There's some professional goals in there. There's some writing goals in there, and then there's some, company goals in there as well. So definitely excited and looking forward to the new year. I know it is February, and I'm doing a New Year's podcast in mid-February. I understand. I'm a little behind. 2024 kicked off with me. What was I doing? Well, I was in Virginia for all of December. I was visiting my family for all of December, so that kind of put a hold on things. And then back in Florida, I had a trip scheduled at the end of January, which bled into February. So it's like I can't get settled back into my normal routine in 3 weeks, and then shake up that routine and then jump back into it. So I just decided to delay my 2024. My 2024 didn't start until February 1st. And now here I am 2 weeks later, back on the horse, back in the saddle, putting out this content, baby. So yeah, that is my goal. So my goals and priorities. I hope you all have goals and priorities that you're setting and working on and working towards. It's been quite a journey for Classic Studios and this Improved podcast. And I'm happy to be back on it. Let's go ahead and close this out, run the outro. Let me see. How does this script work, right? Oh, yeah. And next week, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be releasing episodes that sort of dive into the nitty-gritty of what purchasing a second home really looks like and the creative ways I was able to leverage, different financial avenues in order to purchase a second property. I know that's not for everyone, but it's certainly, part of my life, and I want to share that with you all. That's, it's another project that I have and I'm juggling on, and this podcast is all about documenting our projects and talking about those. So I'm going to be taking over the next 3 weeks to talk about real estate and home purchases and all the nitty-gritty that goes into that, and I'm so excited to share that with you all. Tune in next week for more of that, and then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming about creative writing and those more creative and fun projects like making music, making screenplays, making movies, all that good stuff. But yeah, excited to share that with you. All right, yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get in contact with me about goals or projects that you're working on, I'd love to hear about it. Shoot me an email at theimprovedpodcast@gmail.com. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Green Bean, Michael Green, for all of our musical intros and outros. He's actually been working on new music recently too, so I think I'm going to try and get him on a podcast and talk about what goals he has for the Green Bean project. He's also active on Instagram, so if you want to keep up with him directly, go ahead and check him out at Green Bean Music on Instagram. I want to give a shout out to you all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for leaving a 5-star review, baby. If you want to leave a 5-star review, we read out every 5-star review on the podcast live. It's all good fun. Waiting on another 5-star review for us to read. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to sign up for the Classic Studios newsletter at classicstudios.com for exclusive updates. I actually released the first Classic Studio newsletter in February, and totally lied on that. I said I was going to be back on the 5th of February. Was not. Ended up coming back the 19th, so that's all good. But yeah, goodbye, everyone. I hope you achieve your goals this week, and I will see you Monday for another episode of the Improved Podcast. Goodbye.